right, welcome into episode number 18. He's Jason Ginty. I'm Rod Ryan. We've got a lot of ground to cover on this episode. We see that Jason's broadcasting from his mom's house. We'll find out why, and he'll give us a little tour. We don't talk about ZZ Top, but we end up talking a ton of ZZ Top, and I even squeeze in a top 5, and we'll revisit the Woodstock documentary.
And our holograms, the future of the concert business. Ronnie James Dio had one go out a few years ago, and it was okay. It didn't work so well. Whitney Houston has one. It's going to be in Vegas as a residency. Is this the future of the concert business? Is it a good idea, or is it kind of stupid?
And on the Play Pants podcast, we talk sports. Yeah. We're always good for a few stories. Plus, we will work this into our real top 5 of this episode, and we'll go through our top 5 sports moments that we've either seen, attended, or been involved with. That's all coming up.
Oh, we're going to talk about balls. It's going to be great.
Jason's little balls.
Let's go. It's time. Put on Play Pants.
Find us wherever you listen to podcasts. See us on our YouTube channel and follow our social media pages at PlayPantsPod.
Well, look at this. Hey, Rod, it's time for podcast number 18. It's Play Pants podcast number 18. Dude, here we go. And look at this. I didn't just buy a new chair for today. I'm actually traveling on the road again.
Yeah, it doesn't look like your cool little rock and roll, your own little personal hard rock cafe over there. This looks a little different. As a matter of fact, it's very minimalistic.
Oh, no.
We've seen you do a show before from some Florida house that you were renting on vacation, and it had, all the coral and all the other shit. I don't see anything in there right now. Where are you?
I'm at my mom and dad's house in South Carolina. I came up for a little couple day visit, see how they're doing, hang out a little bit. You got to be the good son. You know how you did it. You went back home, saw the fam for a little while.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that inspired me, dude. It did. I'm like, you know what? Look at old Rod going up, saying hi to the folks. I'm like, let's do it. So I cruised up here, jumped on the plane, came up, hanging out. Next thing you know, I'm here. And we talked about this when you went home. How fast you fall into the family dynamic.
It's immediate, right?
I wasn't here 10 minutes. Picture's crooked. Why don't you help your father fix that? You know what? You can probably get this done. We got a leak over here. I'm like, I'm not the fucking maintenance guy. I'm here to hang out with you. Yes, I am. I'm the good son.
Yes, you are.
Here.
Yes, you are. If there's anything leaking, if there's anything squeaking, if there's anything that needs tweaking, I just made that up.
Leaking and squeaking. Yeah,
okay.
No, right here.
You have to do all of that.
But you know what? It's cool. It's awesome.
But we should say, though, this is not the house. Like, when I went home, that was the house that I grew up in. So, I mean, that wood paneling and everything. Ginty was down there, wasted, probably barfing right next to where I was sitting, back in the day when everybody used to come over.
Yes, I did barf in your place.
Oh, yeah. You barfed in my mom's basement.
All the time.
For sure.
All the time.
So
Gold slugger.
This isn't the house that you grew up in, though. Your parents have since moved, because Jason grew up about 20 minutes from me, in Western New York. So your parents have kind of like become, the snowbirds and went down south a little bit.
Yeah, they're like, look, the second they could retire, because they had to finish their jobs to make sure they got their pensions and all that horse shit, right? Yeah. And as soon as, literally it was like, they sold everything, went into storage, sold it, and came down here, had the house built, and they've been here 15 years. So
is there a doily? Is there anything? Is there like a pillow with maybe a Bible verse on it? What? I feel like there's nothing there.
Dude, I got a little pillow with a shell on it.
Okay, good. It looks like you stole that from your Florida place.
Dude, hold on. Drink it in, baby. Drink it in.
Oh, there you go. So your parents have gone full on in beach mode.
Well, they're not far out of Myrtle Beach. We're not far. We're a half-hour drive to the beach. So I'm showing on our YouTube channel. Just look for Play Pants Pod on YouTube.
It looks like a Pelican lamp.
I got a Pelican lamp. It's made of wood, actually. It's kind of nice. And,
that's nice.
What's interesting is, my mom is very good at decorating and stuff, and she's at the beach, so you'll notice a little tastes of the beach. Like everyone has a beach home, you got a ton of beach shit. She doesn't just throw seashells on the wall, you know what I mean, like everybody else does. We got a Pelican lamp here, which is, it's kind of cool, man.
It's nice.
My mom goes,
now, are you going to fight your brother for that lamp? You know, like, you know, when the day comes a long ways away. I mean,
Hey.
do you see you and your brother getting into a, you know, a brawl over that lamp?
You trying to kill my parents, dude? What's up?
No, my mom's in this full on mode. Every time I see something, you want it? You want it? Take it. Take it. Mom, I don't want your shit.
No,
what are you doing to me? So Dinah, God rest her soul.
Right.
She sent me, I think it was one Christmas, she was back home and she went to her grandmother's house. Okay. So Dinah's still with us. She sends me a text message and she sends me a picture of a lamp and it says Susan. On a piece of masking tape, it said Susan. Now, Susan was her mom's name.
Okay.
Dinah's mom and her aunt and uncle went around the house and they put their names on shit all over the place while their grandmother was alive.
Oh, that's my God.
Dude, there was masking tape. Susan, that was her lamp. Dinah's mom was getting that lamp.
Oh my God, that's horrible. Yeah, you know, it's weird because like that's kind of I came up here to kind of make sure everything was in order because of various reasons. And
Sure.
yeah, everything's cool. We're all good. But yeah, my mom's like, well, you know, I really would. And she started doing that shit. Like, it's so funny you talk about that. My mom's like, well, you know, you can have this. And I said, can I get the lamp? You know?
It's like, no, don't tease me now. If you're not going to come off of that lamp, don't even tease. Okay. Because I'm going to get my heart set on that Pelican lamp.
I promise you right now, man, me and my brother are going to come to blows over that fucking lamp. It's going to happen. He's going to be like, well, man, what the hell? Well, you know, what's great, Rod? There's a set because in the other room, there's one.
Nice.
We could split the set. Okay.
There you go. Yeah.
So when you go back home and your parents are getting up there a little bit, you know, these are things you run into. So, you know, my parents,
discussions to have.
It's a little bit difficult at times. You're like, oh, because it's your parents, man. You don't think of them as ever like not being there. And I'm lucky that I still got both of mine. Believe me, dude, every freaking day, I'm like, oh, that's so cool. I'm so lucky. That's why I've begun to become a better son in that way and actually visit more often. So, because I know a lot of people can't do that. And it's, you know, I take the opportunity and I make the best of it. So anyway, that's why I'm in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, on the road again, doing it from the computer room, which, by the way, Rod, I have to defrag the computer later for my mom.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then I got some tasks. I got to get the printer to set up. I got to set the printer up later. You know, there's a lot of things going on here.
Dude, anything that my mom saves, it just gets on the desktop. So when I get to my mom's house,
yes,
there's 6,000 icons. There's so many things on my mom's desktop that it starts pushing them off to the side. It's saving it, and it's not even fucking on the screen anymore. So I have to delete shit, and then the stuff kind of pushes over. I'm like, Mom, I made folders for you. I bought her a little jump drive. All this stuff. Everything is, and then the desktop gets so messy, she can't find Google Chrome. No. I'm like, because you got so much shit on your desktop. Everything you're saving is to the desktop. It's not computing. And my mom's really, really with it. It just doesn't make sense to her that you can make a folder and put a bunch of shit in a folder. I'm like, it's just like I pick up a file folder and I put paper in it in front of her. I'm like, see what I'm doing here?
Same.
You are digitally dragging. And then she's like, you know, doing it with the right side. I'm like, no, the left side, drag it.
Sometimes, man, you gotta just go.
It's all good.
So I did the same thing today, this morning. I'm going through. My mom's like, "Okay, here's all our files," and I was like, "Let me check your paperwork. Let's see what's going on over here. Let's make sure we're good." You know. She's going through. She's like, "Oh, this is from 2014. I probably don't need to save this anymore." And then it became the whole clean everything out right in front of me sort of thing. I'm like, "Holy shit! I'm gonna be here for 100 years, man." I'm like, "All right, we're good. We're good. You know what? You can do that another time." So she wants her computer's running slow. So I'm thinking, wow, shit, maybe she's doing some cool shit on the computer. I come in an hour later, she's fucking playing some solitaire shit.
Okay, well, at least she's doing that. I caught my mom, and I had to become the parent. My mom was playing. Do you remember when that Farmville?
Oh yeah. Farmville, wasn't it?
Farmville.
Yeah.
My mom was doing that for a while. Okay. And I don't know who turned around. I think it was Hal's wife, Dana, Mama Cash. I think she turned around to that. Whoever did. My mom's into it. I found out that my mom was spending money and buying like sheep and buying nails to put together a new barn and everything. There was no finish line to this game. And my mom was hooked on it for a little while. And it kept crashing her computer. So there was every virus out there was attached to fucking Farmville. And she just, thank God it wasn't me. We got our Geek Squad. May God have mercy on Geek Squad's soul. Dealing with my mother.
Oh my God. Every
other day, they're having to like and take over her computer, and like the farm was totally corrupting everything. I like, Ma, you got to stop farming. We're not farmers. You're not a farmer. There's no finish line to this. You're playing some game that doesn't end. And now then I found out she was spending money. I was pissed.
That's the worst.
I was mad. Yeah, like, oh, just put your credit card in here. You won't need it. And then all of a sudden, well, you know, I never played, so it's hard for me to speak on it. But
right.
I caught her buying like some livestock and some nails because you traded with other people, but she couldn't get nails and she needed like to build this barn. So she bought nails. My mom bought virtual nails. I'm like, stop. I'm taking these credit cards from you. I'm not allowing this anymore. Thank God that's over.
Yeah.
Then she saves pictures. So her desktop is loaded. And, you know, she has her guys. She has these actors and all the guys that she likes. And she just saves pictures of them. And she's obsessed. She loves Freddie Mercury. She loves Queen. She'll save Elvis pictures. And then she loves Superman, whatever the hell that last Superman guy. She loves that dude. They're all over the place. And I got to make files. I'm sorting out all the dudes that my mom, who's 190, all the dudes that she saved on the desktop, I'm building folders for her so that she can get to them.
Oh, boy.
What?
Yeah. That sounds like a fun time. Yeah. Going home. Maybe I'm rethinking this. Maybe going home's not so cool. It's a little weird, man. It is, but it's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do, man. You got to do it. You got to go see your parents. You got to give them the call. You got to do it. I mean, I know it's a pain in the ass. Everyone's relationship is different. But I've always been so busy in my tunnel vision, doing radio, doing other thing on the road, doing my shit, that I've never been real good about it. You know what I mean? And lately I'm like, it's time to step up a little, be a little bit better at it. You know, make a few extra phone calls, make it, you know, because who doesn't want to know how the weather is?
Oh, yeah. Or, you know, well, you know, I mixed up these pills and then, you know, Susie, these pills. And then, you know, there was these pills. And then, you know, down the street, I heard, you know, I saw the ambulance down at the Millers the other day. And, oh, well, guess who got a ramp put in front of their house? I mean, you know, I have the same discussions.
And those goddamn kids and their bikes always cutting across our yard. They're messing. The guys just came and cut the grass, Rod, and they got the nice lines from the mower. But those goddamn kids down the street, you know, those people, they're gonna just ruin the whole thing. So we
bust their balls because we can and because they're still here. And it's
absolutely
just love. It's just love.
It totally. We talked about breaking balls a couple episodes ago, and that's how you did it up north. You just broke balls the whole time, Rod. That's all you did, man.
Jason, at the time of this recording, today is Wednesday, July 28th, and some sad news came down, and you're in the classic rock world, so it's a big deal, but even bigger here because I'm in Houston, Texas, and he died here. We lost a member of ZZ Top. Dusty Hill passed away today here in Houston, and man, I went right over to the Playpants podcast, or I went over to our Facebook page. And I'm just looking, you know, people know that we do a lot of top fives, and I asked people what their top fives were. And then I ended up sharing it on the Rod Ryan Show Facebook page. And then boom. The love for ZZ Top is everywhere. It's kind of next level here in Houston. And
sure, from there,
it's got a lot of people talking and people sharing stories. So it's one of those things that happened. I'm not on the air yet. I imagine tomorrow I'm going to have to carve out some time. They were very visible in Houston. People will have stories, and it's not even, it's somebody that's in their 40s and 30s. There's still some sort of a connection. Like, oh yeah, he's always here. I would always see him at HEB, blah, 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 you know, because the beards and the cars, they were a part of this community. And people are going to want to talk some ZZ Top tomorrow on the radio. So I'm going to have to definitely carve out some time. But I threw some top fives. I threw my top five up there, and then I was just looking at other lists. And boy, you know, I think I saw something, and I can't remember what I wrote. 15 studio albums, 4 live albums, compilation albums, and singles, and everything else. This is a band that had a hell of a career that just played decade after decade. And I think the biggest thing that needs to be said about ZZ Top is no lineup changes.
Three
And
dudes.
Three dudes. I mean, U2, Aerosmith a little bit, but
They
somebody
kind of
went
broke
away.
up.
Joe Perry went away, but came back. But still,
Right.
that's an original lineup. But there's never, ever been a fluctuation in the three-man lineup. These three guys have been playing together for almost 50 years now. That's
Insane.
unheard of. That's just insane.
Like we've known each other and worked on and off together for 26, 27 years, right? And fuck, it's brutal. It's brutal, man. To know somebody, like you always hear these bands, they always say it's a marriage. Like Gene Simmons always says, Kiss is a marriage. You know each other's business so much and you're together all the time and you're stuck together and you just work together. So you're gonna get pissed off at the other guy. That's where bands break up because, for those 2 hours you're on stage, then you're cool. It's the other 22 hours of the day that you're just like, fuck, I'm in a bus with this asshole for all day, and you're stuck.
But then they start getting in separate buses and everything. I think what it happens is it's the business decisions that have to be made, and it's the money.
The money's going to ruin it for everybody, every time.
And I think that's what comes down. And somehow these guys made it work. And if they go down as the greatest band that never changed the lineup, then that's their greatest. That is their greatest. These guys worked together better than anyone. Rolling Stones, I guess they lost Bill Wyman, their bass player, and
Brian Johnson he died and left.
Correct. So, nobody did it for longer and better than ZZ Top with the original members. I think you can pretty comfortably say that about them. I'm a big fan. I've seen them maybe 5-6 times in concert. I got to meet the guys a few times here since being here in Houston. So I was able to put together a top 5 and I was watching everyone else's. And we don't have to spend a lot of time on this, but my top 5, Give Me All Your Lovin' at 5.
Great song. I love that song.
LaGrange at 4.
Oh, that's just manly.
Heard It on the X at 3. That's probably my deepest.
Yeah,
but I love that song. Beer Drinkers. I struggled with the top 2. Beer Drinkers and Hellraisers at 2. Just Got Paid, number 1.
Yeah.
The only list that I saw that I went, damn it, that's so good. Got Me Under Pressure.
Great song.
She Likes Cocaine. Is it better than Give Me All Your Lovin'? After I got mad about not putting Got Me Under Pressure in my top 5, and I looked at everyone else's list, I didn't change anything. There was a lot of love for Jesus Just Left Chicago.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a song about some
Great
guys
song.
in New Orleans, some guys that we've worked with over at Beaver Productions before. So
correct.
It was just kind of a fun thing that I ripped off and I wanted to share with our podcast listeners and our listeners, and people have really jumped on it. So I imagine I'm going to be talking about ZZ Top tomorrow.
What's interesting, Rod, about ZZ Top is that I was looking at it and I quickly went through some shit and I was like, fuck, what song I always loved was Tube Snake Boogie. It's funny, it's goofy, and everyone thinks that's a song about your dick, right? Because it's Tube Snake Boogie and the way they work the lyrics around it. It's a great song.
I'm today 8 years old, still thinking that's about a dick. Are you going to change my mind?
I am. I'm going to fix it for you. Dude, I work in classic rock. Man, I know this shit. That's why when you said, can we do a top 5 ZZ Top songs? I'm like, bro, I've been playing those songs so much. We talked about this in the podcast before.
Sorry, dude.
It's just wallpaper to me. I don't, it's about how you listen to the song. Yeah, I know. I'm so good at the classic rock, dude. Tube Snake Boogie is actually about surfing. The tube snake, the tube is your tube when you're surfing the tubes. Yes, that's what they did.
I want it to be about a dick. Finish your story. I'm not going to listen.
Yeah, and the what a dick. He just took his headphones off so he can't hear me. What a prick. Glad I can see this on the YouTube channel. So Tube Snake Boogie is about surfing. And the boogie is the kind of moves you make as you try to not get killed inside of the tube. So it is about your dick, Rod. That's totally about your dick. Yeah, there you go. Nice job. LaGrange. Right. LaGrange is still great. And they did a cover. And I used to like it a lot. And I went back recently, listened to it, and I went, it's not so good. They do a good cover of Viva Las Vegas from Elvis, the old Elvis tune. It's cool. Mm-hmm. It's on like the compilation album. And ZZ Top really kind of broke in New Orleans, because they were playing this place called the Warehouse. This long gone. It was this famous place in New Orleans back in the early 70s. And they had been here and they didn't have a gig, and they just kept asking the guys who put on the concerts, who obviously went to start Beaver Productions, which is the local promoter for concerts. And they said, hey man, look, we just drove all night. Can we get on the bill? No, you're not going to open. We don't know who the fuck you guys are. So they end up sleeping on the floor in the venue that night. And then the opening act or somehow it went like this anyway. I might be getting the facts wrong, but then they got a shot to play. And then they're like, holy fuck, you guys are good. And they got to play again. And then they started just blowing up. Think about when the Eliminator album, which was their one, that was the huge one that put them over the top. That's when all the videos with the cars and the girls.
It timed out beautifully with MTV, and the imagery of those guys was perfect. They were around for 20 years before that.
They were not overnight. That's when that's when the mainstream got to know those guys. You know,
Yes.
they had a ton of albums out. And that's actually that's the singer's name that's his car. Billy Gibbons. Billy Gibbons. That's his damn car. And he had a couple other ones made. And then think about that. I think Eliminator came out in 83. Okay. And if you notice, that has got a lot of keyboards on that album, right? And they're like, no, man, we've been playing with our guitars all this time. We're still going to have a lot of guitars on it, but let's throw some keyboards on it to sweeten the sound. So that was 83. They did it, never really got any shit for it. Van Halen does it the next year and they eat dicks because it was full of keyboards. It's like, hey, wait a minute, guys. ZZ Top did it. We're all good here. But Van Halen does it. And you knew I was going to have to wrap into a Van Halen story because it seems that it always goes to Kiss and Van Halen on this podcast. But anyway,
It does.
it really, really, really blows that this guy died. I mean, it blows when anybody dies, obviously. But, you know, I saw ZZ Top once and I saw him with you at the Super Bowl in New Orleans. They played the halftime show in '97.
Drove the car out there and everything.
The car out there. And I'm like, holy
James Brown, the Blues Brothers, they were all a part of that halftime show.
It was cool as shit. That's the only time I never got to see the full concert from those guys. And the thing about ZZ Top, before we move on, I want to say is that they've always been cool. They never had that fuck those guys phase. They've always been cool. Even with the goofy, gimmicky beards, they were never goofy or gimmicky. It was just those dudes because they were so cool, man. The way they talked was cool. You watch interviews, you're like, listen to that guy's voice. Oh yeah, it was deep. It had that cool Texas drawl to it or whatever, you know. And it's just ZZ Top's always been cool, but they've always just kind of been there. You know what I mean? Like it was never like,
yeah. I mean,
oh my God, ZZ Top. You know,
I'm sure they had lows in their career, but they were always widely accepted. They're kind of, you know, AC/DC never has a bad year. You know,
just cool.
It just seems like everybody kind of universally loves AC/DC until I say it, and then somebody sends me an email and tells me how much they blow. But the same thing with ZZ Top. It's just kind of like everybody digs them. They're just cool, you know, and nobody hates them. I don't think anybody hates ZZ Top. And that's what's kind of like universal about them. For a guy that turned down my top 5 suggestion, we've been talking about ZZ Top quite a bit. I'm going to scratch my bald head for the rest of my life why we skipped a top 5 on that. I put my top 5 on our Facebook page, and I want everybody to share that. While we're talking death, unfortunately, Joey Jordison passed away this week. And while I'm not the biggest Slipknot fan, I will recognize that this guy is one of the all-time, and I don't throw that around. He's one of the all-time great metal drummers ever, okay? I think most people would know on that list, you would see probably, you know, the Danny Carey from Tool. Yeah, Tool. And I think everybody kind of knows, like, okay, Tool, that drummer, I've always heard he's next level. He is. This guy was next level. He is a top 5 metal drummer all time, Joey Jordison. And I never saw him play live. And he came to Houston. They used to make ProMark drumsticks here. And my good friend, Mark Petrocelli.
Dude, come on. Good friend? Jesus, get his name right.
I know. So I just always call him Mark. I can't get out of him if it's Petrocelli or Petrocelli.
We're going to find out.
He used to work at ProMark Drumsticks, and they sponsored Joey Jordison. And he took a page out of Kiss's playbook he came into town and put some of his blood in the ink, and his signature drumsticks were red ink. His Slipknot, Joey Jordison's signature sticks were red, man. And he stole that from Kiss, and it was a nod, to the greats that came before him, and he did that. And Mark got me a pair of those sticks, and Trey, rock star photographer Trey, got to shoot them and do all of that stuff too. So there was a little bit of a connection here. Great drummer, and it's one of those things that I'm sorry that I never got to see him. We also lost Metal Church lead singer Mike Howe, which I don't know a whole lot about Metal Church. No. But it's been a bad week for rock stars, really bad. And obviously the ZZ Top, the Dusty Hill thing really hits home here because residing, everybody calls them a local band. That little old band from Texas, they're from here. They're from Houston. So people take a lot of pride in that for sure. So shitty week for rock stars.
By the way, tomorrow, Rod, I'll be dedicating an hour at noon. Well, actually today, when the podcast comes out, we're recording on a Wednesday, on Thursday at noon. So if you're listening right now, make sure you punch up the old app and listen to Bayou 95.7. Boom! I am promoting my radio station on this podcast, bro. Noontime, I'll be doing a bunch of ZZ Top songs, and I'll do a lot more research. Don't worry, I'll get my facts together, and I'll talk a lot about ZZ Top tomorrow at noon in New Orleans. It'll be well done. Not like this shit I've hacked together.
What is the most played? What's the ZZ Top hit? What's the song that, whatever you guys have come up with over there, 150 songs that you bang out? What's the ZZ Top song though that's in like what would be heavy rotation?
It's always been like LaGrange has been that one. Yeah. It's just because it's just such a great song. And we don't play a ton of ZZ Top in New Orleans, but we play a few songs. We got 3 or 4 in rotation for sure. And tomorrow I'll be busting out all kinds of crazy shit for sure. And I will play Tube Snake Boogie on the air, and I will talk about the fact that it is not about.
Don't tell your dumb story, dude. Let us all think it's about a dick.
No, that's Love Gun from Kiss. And Paul Stanley wrote that about his dick, and that is actually true.
Singing about his dick. Get it? Love Gun?
I love it, man. It's so great. So great. Oh, my God.
We don't have to spend a lot of time on this, but I watched the Woodstock documentary. Yes, you should watch it. I don't want to ruin it for you, but there was a bunch of people that did email me that watched it. I think most of you that are digging into this podcast, that I attended Woodstock 99. I did broadcast from there, and I reached out to somebody that I guess worked for me because I was the program director, and we were bouncing some things back and forth, and we both agreed that we had a great time there, and that was not what you're going to get if you watch that Woodstock documentary. I wasn't mad when I got done with it. I understand that it was things went bad. Sure. It's really easy for someone that wasn't there just to say, oh, well, this, and I heard this, and the group of people that can still be picked on in this country are young white males, and without any consequences, you can just say that, and you can talk about how awful they are. And that was kind of my takeaway. And I was a young white male there, and it's like, come on, man, we're not all like super angry. And, they kind of talked about the aggro of the next level of alternative, which Limp Bizkit gets mentioned, and Korn. So that new metal, they kind of pinpointed that as being really angry. And then we were apparently all angry. And, the women that took off their shirts, they didn't do it willingly. And the girls that were just walking around naked weren't doing that willingly because they were thought that had to happen because we were in a Girls Gone Wild culture at that time. Everybody knows Joe Francis and those Girls Gone Wild videos. There were a couple of things that came up that I thought were really good. MTV was going through some changes there. Maybe guys were a little angry because MTV used to be, it was rock. And then all of a sudden it became your little sister's MTV. And I thought one of the VJs did a good job talking about that. But, listen, they gloss over 1969. There were problems. Okay.
Oh, tons of problems.
They did not outside of, shutting down the New York Thruway in 1969, They didn't like that the man was charging $2 for a sandwich in 1969. They ransacked that place, okay?
Yep.
And for some reason, we romanticize about the original Woodstock, and all that female nudity is apparently cool because it was 1969. People weren't as angry because, Crosby, Stills, and Nash are playing. And how many times have you heard, oh, yeah, well, all those babies that were made at Woodstock? Apparently that's okay. All the nudity and all those people in the pond you see, and, if you watch the 69 documentary, that stuff's okay. But a girl flashing Kid Rock, it's not okay.
Weird, huh?
Misogyny, and it's easily attackable. And I kind of feel it's a little unfair. There's a very, very angry Spin magazine employee that they keep going to, and she's not having it. And they use her a lot.
Yeah, but you got to look at Woodstock. Woodstock was kind of the same thing. It wasn't as angry. They weren't lighting fires as much and shit like that. But there was plenty of bad shit that happened at fucking the original Woodstock. But
we gloss over that.
The boomers, man, they've forgotten that 1968, 1969, 1970, 69 was fucking brutal in this country, man. You had people getting shot, assassinated. You had Chicago. You had the Vietnam War getting fired up. Dudes were going to the draft and fucking getting sent to Vietnam. Dude,
but that's why it was a counterculture thing. And it was about, and you were supposed to go to Woodstock because it was all about peace and love. And, it was the anti-war thing.
No, I mean, we don't have a lot of boomers listening to this shit, I'm pretty sure. But, it was just as wild back then. We just grew to know a new way to show the anger, and that was beating the shit, like mosh pitting. If I took my parents right now and said that's a mosh pit, what the fuck is that? That's insane. Who would do that? Well, me.
Why do those kids hate each other?
They don't. That's how, and there were problems in 99. That goes without saying. But
no,
you know
what?
what?
Bad. It got bad. I mean, I had to leave. I mean, the fires and everything, it got bad. We talked about it a little bit at the last podcast. It got bad.
It's like, well, watch the news every night. They're not going to focus on the group of people who are having a nice time. No, they're going to, if in TV news, if it bleeds, it leads. It's exciting. You got to get clicks. You got to get eyeballs on it. These guys who made the documentary, and I'm gonna have to go watch it now. They had a mission to just prove their point. A lot of documentaries you got to be real careful with because they're trying to get their point of view across with that documentary.
I don't know if I told you that I had some dialogue going back and forth. I was hoping to be used for the documentary.
Oh, yeah.
So I did. I mean, somebody contacted me. Okay, you were there. Let's talk. And now after watching it, I know why they didn't want me. I was telling all kinds of great and what a good time I had. And I go, sure, man, it got a little crazy, but I didn't really see, they wanted somebody that saw a sexual assault. Oh my God, that would have been gold for them. Sure. They didn't want me talking about, having a good time. I did not fit the narrative of the documentary. I'm not hating on it. I just, for the 10 people, guys, it wasn't any incident that happens is a terrible thing. Okay. Sure. And I would never condone any of that. But they framed this thing, they didn't show Fred Durst. They didn't show Fred Durst saying to the crowd, hey, man, if somebody falls down, pick them up. Be careful out there. That's not what they chose. They did not show that. And he is documented as saying that. They didn't want to use that clip, didn't fit this documentary. That's just like one small example.
Well, it's like,
media
today, you spin it. They were just looking for dudes with tribal sun tattoos on their right shoulder and pissed off. That's all they wanted to show you in that documentary. So anytime you watch a doc or anything like that, you just kind of go, well, I'm sure there's another side to this story. You know what I mean? So, but it's cool to check it out. And like I was talking earlier to some friends, I'm like, look, I got to watch the documentary because I wasn't at the show. But I was on the radio. I knew the bands. I was doing interviews. We were all promoting it around the country and all that shit. So it's like, I want to watch just to see what they say. And you'll know right away. If it's slanted like that, you're like, well, wait a minute. There's dudes that were there just getting drunk and having fun with their buddies, like you.
But when you look at the headline and if there were some assaults and things, somebody's going to say, yeah, Rod said he had a good time there. It didn't.
Context.
It wasn't captured on my lens. It wasn't a part of my experience. Right. I was sad to hear about things that happened afterwards. I saw plenty of shit that was bad. But to say that Yeah. To say that it was just, they really talk about the first day, the first half of the first Friday. They said, "Oh yeah, you could kind of feel it in the air." No, you couldn't, man. People were partying.
No,
People were partying balls. We were having a good time, and it was laid on a little thick. I'll wrap it up with this. They kind of don't really get into 69, talking about problems there, and what they just mentioned at the very end, and maybe in some text, those guys tried to do a 50th.
Right.
Michael Lang and whoever the other guy, they tried to do a 50th and boom, just to mention, yeah, we tried to do it and it didn't work. We still don't really know why it didn't work. Now, 2019, there was supposed to be a 50th Woodstock. As a matter of fact, there was two of them kind of bouncing back and forth. People were trying to use that Woodstock name, and they were jumping on bands, and bands were flat out announced. I remember Creedence or John Fogerty or something was attached to one of them. Neither one of them happened. But somebody do a documentary on 2019.
Yeah, why not?
Did you send somebody a check? Did you give anybody any kind of a guarantee? Because I think they spent money on something that never happened. 2 shows.
I think it was part of the problem was that both of them were competing at the same time. So they were fighting over that. And then, you still were dealing with, there's still some stink on that 99 on the name Woodstock. The brand Woodstock, it's got some stank on it. So they were like, I don't know. I don't remember much about it, but you're right. They couldn't pull it off. And there was financial issues. I think that was one of the major reasons. There were some 100%. Financial situations. They just couldn't pull it off for whatever reason. So
coming up, we're going to talk about a couple more things today on the pod. I want to get into some holograms a little bit. There was an announcement that a Whitney Houston hologram is coming to Vegas. Now, I get it. Whitney Houston, not really our audience. But there was a Ronnie James Dio hologram that did go out on tour. Right. And I just want to take your temperature on these holograms and what you think about them. So we're going to get into that in a second. I want to talk about one of our great sponsors, and they've been with us since day one. It's Pirates of the Quarter. They've been on board with us. They believed in this podcast from the very first one, if you can believe that.
Dummies.
So New Orleans, an amazing city, loaded with unique history. I'm working over here.
Oh, sorry.
So yeah, great city, and I can't wait to get back. I'm going to be going back in a couple of weeks for the Red Dress Run. But getting back to New Orleans and getting into the Quarter, that's where everybody goes and hangs out. The fun can continue, and you can learn a few things, man. Pirates will take you around the French Quarter, okay? There was a time when real pirates roam the streets of the French Quarter, where you'll be walking, and these pirates will take you around and they will give you real history. Now, listen, it's not like being in class. It's so much fun. You still got your beers because you can walk around with your drinks, and then they'll probably take you into a couple of bars. You grab some drinks, and you're just kind of walking around. But the unbelievable tales of the smuggling and the sword fights and the cannons and the rum from the Pirates of the Quarter. It is the most unique walking tour in the French Quarter. It's fun. You're going to learn a ton. You're not even going to realize it. It's just you're having a good time, all right? So discover real pirate history in New Orleans the next time you go, or if you're listening to us in New Orleans, listen, I'm going to say it. Get off your ass, man. Go down there and take this tour. I know you live there, but we know people out in Kenner that don't leave Kenner. Go down there and take this tour, man. You're going to love it. Piratesofthequarter.com, at Pirates of the Quarter on all social media. They do a great job with social media. And of course, we have links up on the podcast, the Play Pants podcast page, and on our YouTube page.
Rod, you know that we're huge Jazz Fest fans. You're a huge Jazz Fest fan. You saw they added the Rolling Stones to the Jazz Fest lineup. It's on a Wednesday in October. Dude, the Stones.
It's a tight situation for me because I'm going to take Monday off because the Foo Fighters are playing on Sunday. I really, in my heart of hearts, thought that they were going to end up playing on Saturday night.
Me too.
I told my boss already, done. And then the nuke comes out that the Stones are playing on a Wednesday. I'm like, do I need that week off? What am I doing here? Tell me, somebody that's never been to Jazz Fest before and maybe has the Rolling Stones on their list of bands that they need to see before they cease and desist. Because no band this big has ever played Jazz Fest before. Mm-mm. What can you expect? I mean, is it a good place to see them?
It could be, in October, the weather should be decent. So, okay. I mean, think about it. Mick Jagger just turned 78 years old, dude. Okay. So, and it's kind of my point here. We just had the great Dusty Hill pass away. We talked about that a minute ago. You're gonna want to see these older bands when you get the chance, because your opportunity is, the windows are closing on a lot of these bands. So the Stones at Jazz Fest, what's going to happen is, first of all, it's the Stones, and they're going to announce a few other bands for the festival that day. Okay, it's outdoors. Whatever the weather is, you're going to be dealing with that. When all these other opening bands, in Jazz Fest, there's 10, 15 different stages and tents where music is playing all day constantly. And as you're watching your headliner of each day throughout the weekends, other stages are open. So if you don't like the headliner, go see somebody else. When the Stones play on that Wednesday, every other stage is going to get shut down. It's all going to be about the Rolling Stones when they come on and perform.
Can that field that normally shares time, like, okay, they're going to play on, I'm assuming, the same stage as the Foo Fighters.
Acura stage, yeah.
Okay, so when the Foo Fighters are on, what Jason's saying is there'll be another fairly big headlining act at the same time, as well as 15 other stages.
Correct.
So most of the people will be there for the Foo Fighters that day, and it will be packed.
It'll be nuts.
My question to you is, if none of those other stages are active while the Rolling Stones, there's no way of increasing the size, the footprint of where that stage is. Foo Fighters, with 20 other stages active, will be wall to wall. Mm-hmm. What can we possibly expect for Rolling Stones?
They're not going to reconfigure anything, because you've got the festival, it's too much effort to move all those stages. So that's why the Stones are playing on a Wednesday, so that they can do the Stones shit and then move the Stones shit out for the Friday festival. So what's going to happen is there's going to be a limited number of tickets sold for that day, and they're $190 a ticket. Okay. So that's what's going to happen. So you can cruise around all day, see all these other acts, and then get your food on, do your whole Jazz Fest thing. And then when it's time for the Stones, everything shuts down. Boom, here you go. And it's a limited, so it'll be crowded, though, no doubt about it, because we're going to try and shoehorn everybody that can shoehorn in there to make their money, because the Stones ain't cheap. But if you've never seen the Stones before, I would say this would be a great, great time to see them. Now, I've seen the Stones 2 years ago when they played the Superdome. So I've seen them. So I'm like, well, I've kind of seen them. But like we were just talking about a minute ago with Dusty Hill passing away from ZZ Top, and I was going to bring this up, was when these bands come near, not even in your city anymore, when they come close and you got the money, go freaking see them. You think you're going to have a lot of years left with the Rolling freaking Stones? I mean, maybe. But, your windows are closing on a lot of these bands, man. They're all in their 70s now. If you want to go see the Eagles, you want to see Fleetwood Mac, you want to see, the list goes on and on. You might want to take that chance now and go see these bands, especially the Stones. Holy shit.
Because the alternative, and I don't know how big this is going to get, but there was an announcement this week that Whitney Houston is going to do a resident. Now, you heard me. Whitney Houston's Hologram is going to do a residency in Las Vegas.
Right.
So I looked it up. Number one, you're not paying full price. You're not seeing Whitney Houston. Whitney Houston, if she was alive, I don't think if she was your favorite singer, you wouldn't bat an eyelash. And if you haven't looked at concert ticket prices in a while, then you might be shocked. But you're going to dump $350 on a ticket to go see Whitney Houston. Okay, you might pay $400 or $500 in Vegas to be, in a smaller room if she's going to do a residency.
Shit, yeah.
The biggest ticket was $85,
That's fair.
In the front, for a Whitney Houston hologram. Do you see these things moving forward? And I'll just backtrack one more time, just because the Ronnie James Dio hologram went out and toured. And this was sanctioned by his wife. She runs the Ronnie James Dio estate. There was a book that just came out. She does everything Dio and does everything respectfully. And she's not going to do anything. I think she's pretty set up. Ronnie James Dio's widow, I think, is pretty good, but she's about keeping his legacy alive. And I don't think she's doing anything that he wouldn't want. So if you see a Prince hologram, I get the feeling that Prince didn't want that. His family is looking to make some money off of that, off of his name. The Dio hologram actually had musicians up there that played with Dio. There was a couple of pretty decent names that went up on stage and played. And Jakey Lee may have been up there for a little bit. It wasn't well received. It didn't go over well. I don't know what your expectations are. I don't know if you really know what these holograms look like. They look better than that Tupac thing that they rolled out at Coachella 10 years ago. They do look better than that. But I'm thinking they're going to have to do something pretty damn special for Whitney Houston to do a residency in Vegas.
You know what? It's how they name it. And if they're going to, like you said, they're charging $85, you know what? Don't call it Whitney Houston. Call it the Whitney Houston experience. You got to name these things right. Cause I'm going to see a movie, dude. And you got the dancers and shit. Okay. You want to throw in the production. Hey, that's cool. I never saw Whitney Houston. You know what? I don't necessarily love Whitney Houston music. I don't crank it up at the crib, but if she was alive and you just talked about that residency, don't think I wouldn't be thinking about going to Vegas for a weekend and trying to get my ass in to see the living Whitney Houston, because that would be an amazing experience when she could sing. I think the hologram thing, the Dio thing was weird because it was kind of the early one. And I don't know if the technology was very good. And your metalheads are fucking, look, metal, it's not a huge audience, but it's a passionate audience.
But if you never saw Dio, you come off that money. And I don't know how you manage people's expectations.
You got to call it the experience. Like, this is what it would have been like, kind of, to see Dio in concert. You want to kind of set the tone like, hey, look, this ain't fucking Dio. He's dead. But here's kind of what, if you loved him and you saw him, this is kind of what it was. And if you never saw him, okay, but don't be charging me $200 to see this shit.
Yeah, I think the price is very, very important. So my wife, who you've known a long time, she just says, hey, what are you and Jason talking about on the podcast? And I said, stupid shit.
Dumb shit. Nothing smart. You're not going to want to listen. I guarantee that.
She's asking. And so I'm telling her, and I talk a little bit about this hologram thing. And I said, I thought it would be cool to talk about, to maybe see, what artists do you have, somebody that's not around that maybe you would pay to go see. And she's like, nah, those are creepy. Right. So she just discounts it the whole way through, and she doesn't know who Dio is. You can't give her a hard time. She just doesn't want to know that stuff.
Right.
So I tell her Whitney Houston, and she said, no. She goes, no, I wouldn't go to that. And then I said, well, we'll talk maybe about some other artists that are no longer here. I said, one of the things that I'll ask Jason, it would never happen, but there's people out there that never saw Eddie Van Halen. What if they put together something with Eddie? And she's like, yeah, but this guitar player. So everyone's always kind of focused on the singer. So then I throw out Chris Cornell, and she goes, oh, I'd go see that.
It's just like anything else. It's who you like.
What, you just said these were dumb. She goes, oh, no. I would go see that. Immediately, Chris Cornell, she would want an opportunity to see him again in some form. And the hologram, all of a sudden, immediately, and I don't know that she knew that I was going to talk about it. I kind of blew off her response, but I thought it was interesting that once one clicked, wait a minute, because, that's turned out to be her favorite singer now. But she's on board for it.
But that's like anything else, man. Yeah, you can run down a laundry list of bands to go see. And I don't want to see them. I don't want to see them. But you hit the one I like, I want to go see them. I think it's about the presentation. I think, with technology now, and if they did it in a way where it looked pretty good, and it wasn't shitty. And maybe it's like, I think the Whitney one, they were going to kind of do where she would go through her career. So she would do her hits, but she started out when she first started out as a young girl, bam.
Yeah, I want to dance with somebody.
Yes, and you take it through, make a story out of it, and have it like that. You know what? It's almost like a mini documentary just through the music and stuff, I think. And then, like, if you did something like that with the sound is badass. It's got to have that great sound, like an IMAX theater. It's got to be good. There'd be certain artists I would go, because I remember when we first moved to New Orleans, right? And IMAX was running like the Rolling Stones in concert on loop, basically. Mm-hmm. They had the Rolling Stones in concert. I forget where the fuck they were playing. And we sat there, and at the time, I didn't give a shit about the Stones. I didn't care that much. I knew their songs and stuff, but I was like, okay, it blew me away. It blew me away because the IMAX screen is so big, and the sound, they had it done so it was all stereo around. You could hear the roadies talk and cue the lights, blow up the big penis, and they were cueing it, and it was an experience. And I was like, fuck, this is cool. I would love to see like a hologram of like Led Zeppelin or the Doors. Holy shit, they did it right and didn't cheese it. And the quality was good. And you're going to get the sound. The sound is going to be perfect because you've got a lot of these great recordings that go sweeten up. Give it to me and create the story. Give me the young Jim Morrison and bring it through LA Woman.
Okay. I see. I know you're a much bigger Doors fan than I am, and
or
that
whomever
was I was thinking about. But what if I don't know if Robbie Krieger? I don't know if Manzarek is around.
He's dead.
If so, everybody's gone.
Just Krieger and Densmore, the drummer, is alive.
Okay. So what if they're on board and you've got them? And then there's the hologram of Jim Morrison.
Nah, that's fucking.
To it.
I don't think they would ever do it for. It's just weird,
Yeah, okay.
man. You're just playing to yourself, basically.
Right.
I think if you just have those guys help produce it, so that it's got their stamp on it, and it's the Doors vibe. And again, it's not about the band; it's about the thing, the medium. The medium is what we're talking about.
But that's why I think they had the right idea, but it fell flat. But the right idea with Dio, they had a live band up there with Dio as the hologram. That is more appealing to me than what you're talking about, like a movie, you know,
Right.
or everybody's a hologram. I don't want 4 holograms up there.
That's true.
You know, I mean, I get the feeling, and I don't really know about Whitney, but I'm thinking that there's going to be a big band.
Yeah, there's going to be dancers and the whole thing.
Yeah. So I need production around the hologram. I don't need a bunch of holograms.
You're right, because it's just a movie then at that point. You're right. It's kind of it's just a movie. It's all it is. It's a fucking movie.
It really is. So I need the live band attached to it. And I think if there's some lineage in there, if there is somebody that makes sense, Led Zeppelin, you know, if the kid, you know, gets on the drums and then all of a sudden he's got everyone else. Now he does some sort of a Led Zeppelin experience. Right. And he is a really good drummer. I've kind of shit on Jason Bonham in years past, and he really is a great drummer. He really is. And, you know, you just don't get that, you know, through dad's dick. You know, you got to put in your work. And he has studied his father, and he is, you know, his dad's clone. You know, it's just his dad invented all of that stuff.
Right.
Maybe him. I just feel like there's an importance. And like you said earlier, the show always goes back to Kiss and Van Halen. You know, Kiss is never going away. And I just wonder if those guys think that maybe if they can't get their kids to dress up as them, do they do some kind of a hologram? Because Paul and Gene are getting up there and they just can't do the physicality of the live performing anymore. I wonder if a hologram is in their future, you know, or if they're really closely monitoring and taking a look at this Whitney and these other situations.
But they're alive now. They could actually go in and produce it, and they could figure it all out and put their stamp on it, and then go, yeah, take this of me when I was in 23, and take this move from me, and they could get it. And knowing Kiss, they probably have already got it in the bag, ready to go. But think about this: not everyone is going to concerts even today. Not everyone can afford it. Not everyone can do it. How many cover bands are playing bars? That's not fucking Van Halen. That's that's a bunch of dudes getting around, and they're close. They're doing okay, but they play the songs. They sound okay. Hey, you're gonna go see cover bands, and it's a cheaper price. It's not the original product. You're gonna go see it. They're advertising right now on my radio station in New Orleans the old Pink Floyd laser light show thing, where they put on the Pink Floyd album and you sit in this fucking thing. Who the fuck is going to that anymore?
People go to that stuff. I think they do go to it.
So this will make money if it's done right. I think Dio might have been the weirdest one to start out with. You know what I mean? Like that was not that's not a brand name for most people outside of our world. It's not a generic, like Whitney Houston will probably do great.
I agree.
Whitney will do great. Dio was a weird one to start with.
What about, and we don't have to talk too much longer on this, but what about comedians? I'm trying to think, like, where else can this go? So I never saw Richard Pryor live. I know you never saw Richard Pryor.
No.
James, George Carlin.
Right.
There's stuff out there. Obviously, there's tons of recordings out there. Robin Williams. I did see Robin Williams.
Yeah, me too. He was great.
And he was unbelievable. Could a comedian, is this only work for musicians? Could a comedian you put on live comedians leading up to the headliner is the hologram of, let's just use Richard Pryor as an example. Do people go and sit through a hologram set of a comedian?
That's a tough one because the material a lot of times. And the worst thing you could do is go to a show when everyone's fucking mouthing the bits. When I go to see a comedian, they always got fresh material. Usually you don't know what it is.
Yeah, it would have to be classic stuff. It would have to be stuff that they've already done. But,
so, you're going to be like,
never saw it live. But it's the live experience. You might know all of George Carlin's bits, but to see George Carlin on stage, hologram,
walking,
doing those bits, because you lose a lot. But now kids see you see everything on YouTube, and I don't know. I'm just wondering, is there anything else that would be that they could take this hologram technology and use it for?
Yes. The answer to that is absolutely 100% totally yes. They're going to use it for every fucking thing. Eventually it's going to be there. You're going to be standing, you can be able to, how we're doing Zoom right now. We're literally doing a Zoom podcast right now, which you can catch on YouTube. Just look for Play Pants Pod. Eventually that'll be shit that'll just be in your room. You'll be standing there talking. We'll be standing in a room talking to each other, something projector like Star Trek shit. We'll be able to stand in the same room together, although we won't be in the same room together. It won't be from a computer screen.
Comes rolling out. Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Exactly.
You're my only hope.
Yeah, you'd be the little mini Princess Leia down there, about the size of my, the height of my dick. And I mean, this is perfect, Rod. I like this. So it'll be like that. But then again, I don't know. Like, taking in our current situation and times we've been in the last year and a half I'm sick of fucking looking at shit on a computer screen. I want the live experience. I want to go rub elbows. I want to smell the beers and the shitty perfume and the bad cologne and the BO at a concert. That
plays into the hand of the holograms then.
Yes. I want to go out and experience shit. You know what? I'm with your wife on this one, man. It has to be the right artist and it has to be fucking good. These holograms, if they come out and they're shitty, they're going to go away. They're going to go away. They're going to have to be well done. The production's going to have to be badass and it can't be as costly as a regular concert. It just can't. I'm not going to go.
No. Before I went into this discussion, I needed to know, because they're putting tickets on sale for this thing already. I have no idea how it's selling, the Whitney Houston thing, but yeah, in front of the stage, section A right in front, B and C, the $85 were those seats. To be honest with you, I thought that was pretty reasonably priced. And that's kind of where we're at with concerts now. It's Vegas. It's $85. You take your chick, you're going to spend some money. You spend some money on a fucking cartoon.
But ultimately, yeah. But I mean, but here's the problem with that is, like, if I'm going to go to Vegas, you're going to go once every few years, maybe at best. I'm going to go probably pick one or two shows. Whitney's not going to be on the fucking list. For me, I'll go and I'll see one of the Cirque du Soleils, or I'll see a magic show or some other shit, Chris Angel or whatever else out there. It'd be further down the ladder, but yeah, I guess people will go. People are going to spend money on this shit. I think it'll work. It's just got to be right. It's just got to be right.
As we're getting ready for the podcast, Jason and I were bouncing stuff. We've talked about it before. I'll start thinking on Sunday, and then Monday, one of us will pop an email to someone, and then Tuesday, and then emails start going back and forth. Are we coming up? Are we going to talk about sports on this podcast? Sports?
Hey, listen, what have you learned?
Talking sports?
In radio, what have you always learned, Rod? Be topical. Know what's going on in the world around you. Okay. Know what's happening. Dude, the Olympics are on. The Olympics are happening right there in Tokyo, and I've been caught up. Here's what I've been doing. I've been DVRing all the women's beach volleyball, playing it back in slow-mo. Boom.
Oh, there you go. That's
dude,
that sounds very Woodstock 99 of you.
Very, very creepy of me. No. Actually, I've been watching a lot of the swimming and the running and the track, and I just, they do such a great job. 3.5 years go by. I don't give a fuck about swimming. Guess what? As soon as someone's racing, I'm like, oh, that dude's going down. That bitch ain't winning. That girl's gonna win. That dude's gonna lose. That guy's too skinny. What? You become an expert. You're a couch. You got Dorito dust in your shirt, and next thing you know, you're an expert on the triathlon. You're not. So yeah, coming up, we're going to talk about sports, which admittedly I don't really know shit about.
But we're going to shoehorn in, because we haven't done it yet. I'm not counting the not top five that we did earlier today. Right. A real top five is coming up too.
I'm looking forward to this one. This is going to be fun, because I think we're going to have a lot of the similar ones because we grew up in the same area. But I think this will open up some discussions about sports and how, thank God we're both in radio, because sports was never going to be a calling, I think, for us.
All right, that's coming up. I'm excited.
Houston, man, if you're looking to go out, Astros are beating everyone's ass. I don't think, are they undefeated so far this season? I mean, holy shit, every time I look.
Not undefeated, but this
pretty
is the
close.
Guy that's going to be, no, not close, but this is the guy that's going to be talking sports coming up.
Oops. Yeah, maybe I should shut up. Anyway, if you like sports, and I know baseball's kind of it right now, but they got the golf, they got everything, man. In the Lucky's Pub West, I-10 and Barker Cypress, you got the Astros baseball. 40 TVs. That's my point, man. 40 TVs. Watch the game, watch the Olympic coverage, which is badass. Watch whatever the hell they got up on those 40 TVs, and you kick back, pop open some ice cold beers, great food, man. They got the best pizza on the best side. Get the wings. I'm telling you, get the damn wings, burgers, and their famous Philly cheesesteak egg rolls. I can't say that without chuckling. I told you last episode, in episode 17, which is a good episode, by the way, go check it out. My brother-in-law was cruising across Texas and he didn't have time to stop. It was late at night or some shit or whatever. He couldn't stop. And then he listened to the podcast.
He was driving past my bar at 4 a.m.
Yeah, well, that's what it was. It was like late, whatever it was. So apparently Lucky's isn't open at 4 a.m. for whatever reason. I get it.
No, we're not.
And he's like, he was so mad that he couldn't stop by and get the Philly cheesesteak egg rolls. He goes straight face. He goes, you know, you guys make those sound so damn good. I got to stop in there. So he said next time he promises he will stop by, as everyone should. Every Thursday night. Here's your Thursday plans. Not you, Rod. I know what your plans are on Thursdays. Wake up, download the Playpants podcast, listen to it, and then what you do, and this is just a suggestion, if you've listened to previous episodes, you're up to speed, you and Husky Pete, Sammy B, and Rizzo, go kick it over at Lucky's. You drink the beers, and Thursday nights, it's steak night every Thursday night. So you can chew the fat and talk shop about the Playpants podcast around the bar and watch the games on 40 TVs. Look, I've made your Thursday night plans. Weekends are a blast over there at Lucky's Pub West. Check the Facebook page for all the things that are happening. There's all kinds of crazy shit going on every night of the week. Lucky's Pub West, always a nice cold beer at a fair price. I-10 at Barker Cypress. All the links are on the YouTube channel and all the places you get the podcast, Rod.
I have been keeping half an eye on the Olympics. I do love the Olympics. I'm infuriated at people that don't like the Olympics. It really upsets me.
How do you not like the Olympics? What's not to like?
People don't like it, dude. They don't like the Olympics. And then, of course, everything is politicized right now. Right. So there's some of that going on. But that's not what I don't want to get into any of that. I'm always pro Olympics. I'm always for the U.S. kicking everybody's ass.
Sure.
And it hasn't been a great start to the Olympics. There's been some great moments. There has been, but the biggest story here, we don't have to spend a lot of time on it, but Simone Biles, she's from Houston, bro. That's the biggest Olympic story of these games, and her decision not to play, and anything other than saying that you have to say that she's brave. You have to say that you support her decision. You have to say you have to take care of yourself and your self-care. Those are the only things you're allowed to say about it. I mean, those are the only things you're allowed to say about it. It's just, it's so much bigger because she's from here, dude. And there's been some other things with these Olympics, but I have watched, and the swimming for me is great.
It's racing. You can race anything. Racing's always going to be cool, man. Racing's
and
fun.
Ledecky finally got a gold, man. And what we didn't think she was going to get a gold. I was exhausted watching that. She came away with a couple of silvers, which is great. Yeah. But I mean, she's the female Michael Phelps, Right. It's cool to see Michael Phelps, floating around. The energy of the skateboarders is weird for me. They're just kind of like, oh, golly shucks, I missed that one. No big deal. Skateboarding's weird for me, dude. It's
bizarre. I can't watch it. It's weird. It's just weird.
It's just, they don't land those tricks on the reg, and no big deal. I missed it. They don't seem to be upset with themselves. I like my athletes looking a little upset when they lose or a trick doesn't, or they don't stick a landing. I like a little bit of disappointment in there. And the skateboarders are just like, hey man, I hit it yesterday, but I just hit that thing a little wrong, and looks like we're not medaling.
That's the skateboard culture. They're just like, hey, bro.
I turned it off. I didn't want to watch.
We're good.
I didn't want to watch it.
Yeah, it's weird. The reason I get excited about the Olympics, Rod, is because go USA, but I want to see good performances out of anybody. They start telling the stories about this guy from like this weird country you never heard of, who's, he's feeding his goats, and next thing you know, he's running or whatever the story is. And you're like, whoa. And then you see the guy race or run or whatever they're doing. You're like, come on, dude. And then you're like, wait a minute. No, go USA. But come on, dude, you do well as well. You get caught up, and they do such a great job of throwing the bios about these performers. But what I watch the swimming all the time because I used to think I was in fairly good shape and I had some skills. So I joined in 7th grade, dude. I joined the swim team. I joined the swim team in 7th grade. And no, 9th grade. I gotta get it right because this is important. 9th grade.
This is important. Okay.
9th grade, I'm still a little goofy, skinny guy. I was a much goofier, much skinnier guy back then. I didn't want to play football because I don't want to get hurt. I don't like getting hit. Fuck that. And so I was like, no, I'm not. And baseball, I hated. Fucking boring as shit. You're just out there swatting at bees. There's nothing going on in baseball. Didn't want to play that. And I'm like, I got to play a sport, man. I want to get the cool leather jacket, man. I want to get that varsity jacket. I want to be that cool guy, the sports guy walking around the high school with a jacket because they get the girls, at least in my 9th grade brain. That's how I thought it was going to work. And I'm like, well, I can't play hockey, too expensive. So I'm like, fuck it, I can swim. So I joined the swim team. Here's what I knew about.
Got to buy me is a little banana bender, and I'm good to go.
Okay, let's talk about that, Rodney.
Okay, let's talk about you smuggling grapes. Go.
I'm in 9th grade, boy. I ain't hit my peak yet. Okay. I'm in 9th grade. I'm a little hairless twink.
Yeah, you're flat in the front like Ken.
Dude, I am literally like this. I'm a little kid. And then, of course, you're swimming every day in a locker room of all places. Let's go throw the 9th grader right into the locker room with grown men, hair, beards, fucking chest hair, big dudes, huge wangs dangling everywhere. And I'm like, what the fuck's wrong with me? I showered with my banana bender on every time. And I sucked. I fucking was terrible at it, dude.
You were a bad swimmer? Like you were not good?
Like not good as in
team? Wait. You got to make the team.
I made the team. Well, I made the junior varsity team.
Did everybody that tried out make the team?
Yes, you got on the team.
But I just want to know what we're dealing with here, okay? Now I've got some context.
Right.
That it was everybody that showed up to that, that first meeting.
Now, luckily, I didn't die the first practice, so that's why I made the team. So I practiced, and I didn't know anything about swimming. Well, here's the thing. I come off the street with no fucking cardio, and they throw me in the pool. Okay, do 25 laps. 25 what? Laps. Oh, shit. I do 12, and I had to go home.
Wait a minute. This is the kind of swim team that you have to swim?
Where's the little floater things, dude? What the fuck is this? I didn't know anything.
Where do I get? Can I just get the jacket and the girls, please?
I'm just here for the jacket, boys. Can I get the? So, and then like I know nothing about swimming. So when you watch the Olympics, you see it's the meet, right? The swim meet. So you get up on that block, and you're standing in front of the high school or whoever gives a shit about swimming anyway. Yeah. And you're in your banana bender, your little Speedo. I'm in 9th grade.
If this story doesn't end with you popping a rod in front of the whole school.
No, I never did that. Nobody would have seen it anyway. He was a little guy,
okay.
little dude. So I swim my first race, and I'm so far behind. Like I come in and I finally finish, which I made it. The next swimmers were already lined up waiting for me to fucking hurry up. I get out of the pool, and this one dude from the other team goes, fucking let's swim a little faster next time, dude. I got shit to do tonight. I got homework to do. That was my first meet, dude. It got worse. And we had a 6-lane pool in where I went, 6 lanes. I came in 6th place 2 years in a row. 2 years in a row. Everything I swam. You
didn't think about like switching to another sport or anything?
Nope. I tried.
You were really dialed into that swimming, huh? You really thought those girls in that jacket was coming.
No, I learned real quick. That shit was not working for me. But I was like, I got into it. I enjoyed it. I worked hard at it. So
losing was enjoyable, is what you're telling me?
Well, it got to the point, and you know how competitive I can get, right? Think about how that's where I learned my work ethic. We talk about work ethic in this podcast all the time. Work your ass off, you get results. And this is what's great about it, dude. North Tonawanda, correct me if I'm wrong or if you even know, has a fucking 4-lane pool. Okay. Not every high school could afford the 6 lanes. It seems like North Tonawanda had a 4-lane pool. Because there's less lanes, you got less kids swimming. So I only have to swim like 2 events.
Cannot confirm, but that we did have a pool. I can tell you that.
I'm pretty sure a few of the other schools had 4 lanes. Anyway, long story short.
The pool was in the junior high in North Tonawanda.
Probably. I don't know.
So it probably was a little smaller. I don't think we had a pool in the high school.
I came in 4th.
4 lanes. Things are looking good here. Things are looking great.
I didn't come in 6th.
I
come home. I tell my parents, hey, how'd you do? And they knew I was going to say fucking
1 away from the 3rd place.
In 3rd place, you scored points for your team. Because first, second, third, you scored. It was all about gaining points throughout the meet. Anyway.
What do you get for 4th?
fucking kicking the dick.
No points for that.
No point.
Okay.
You know what you get? Shame. Because you got to get out of that pool and you're the last
Right.
Dude, I climbed out of that pool last for 2 years straight. My last year I swam. I only did it for 2 years because I finally realized this fucking blows. I suck. I'm not getting better. I got a third place finish. I beat 2 other kids.
Yeah, there you go.
I finally
kids.
there's your long story. That's my athletic life.
If you're listening to this guy, did he give up? No. Should he have? Yes.
Yeah,
But he didn't.
I did. I stuck with
And
it for 2 years.
Guy walked away with a third place ribbon. Ribbinski. Yep. Where is that ribbon?
Out of 6.
Now, I know, Jason, again, let's review. You're at your mom's house.
Correct.
I know there's some little shrine up there with your little nut hugger and your third place ribbon. Where is that little shrine? Can we move this? Are you wireless that we can maybe go?
No.
We've seen the Pelican lamp, but is the shrine to your third place finish? Is it somewhere? Maybe with some photos to back it up, please.
And here's the worst thing. And you know that you've already started the journey because your daughter's what, 3? Your daughter's 3? Yeah. My parents know nothing. Swimming didn't exist in our world. It didn't cost that much. So that's why I did it too. My parents were at every meet and they had to sit there. And then, there's kids who are fucking great. And the kids' parents are like into it. And my mom and dad.
Never mind. Just we're just here. We're just here.
Every fucking
no, we don't have a kid in the meet.
They had to sit there and watch me eat shit every fucking time. So, dude, you know how locker rooms are brutal? Locker rooms are the fucking worst, right? Locker rooms are the worst. I'm in 9th grade. I'm a pretty
Tiny Pecker, 4th place. So it's not a good environment for you.
So, and I know I'm talking about swimming. Who gives a fuck? But the story about locker rooms, everyone can relate to. It's fucking weird. Like even today, like if you go to a locker room, dude, don't be the dude walking around with your bird hanging out for 20 minutes combing your hair.
Nah, you gotta have a pretty good rocket for that.
Shorts on. Those old guys that do that and they'll stand there and talk to you. It's like, hey bro, why don't you cover up your junk, man? I don't need to see your porn berries. Let's go.
They're always whistling. Their balls are on the ground and they're whistling and they don't care. They just got these elongated balls at the gym and they're always whistling.
Yeah. They don't care. So
they're doing their hair.
And I actually heard them talking of the other night. I was watching the swimming on the Olympics and they were talking about, oh yeah, you got to shave. You shave down. You shave. So we were going to the States. Well, I just happened to be on the bus, but the varsity team was going for the state championship. So in the locker room before the meet, they're all fucking shaving their chest hair off, their beards, their heads, their legs. So you got a bunch of grown dudes. And so I walk in there. I'm already a hairless little bitch. The one guy goes,
twink already.
The one guy goes, hey man, you want to shave? Oh, you already did. Cool. And the bullying, dude, the bullying was fucking brutal. Because think about your body image, dude, your body conscious.
You want to shave? They walk up to you and they grab that one little pube. Okay, dude, you're slick. Go.
Yeah. My mound looked like Charlie Brown's head. It's just got that one squirrely little.
This guy's ready.
So that's why I'm into the swimming, because all the abuse I took in last place finishes. So now when I'm sitting there on the couch watching swimming, that poor fucker that comes in last, I'm like, look at that guy go though. That guy's got heart. That guy's got heart. He made it to the Olympics.
He came in qualifying rounds. He was first. I mean, there's going to be a last place in the Olympics, but they were first everywhere else in the world.
And guess what? I beat him because it's an 8-lane pool. He came in 8th. I came in 6th. I win. Fuck that guy. I don't give a shit how hard he trained.
So that's how sports is handled here on the Play Pants podcast.
Fucking thank God I can talk.
So we did want to get in a top 5 on today's pod. So make sure that I'm getting this correct. We were going to talk about top 5 sporting events in our lives. Could have been your swim meet, the one. I don't even know. What were the colored ribbons? I mean, it was.
Oh, I didn't get a ribbon. I scored like 1 point for my team. That was it.
Okay, so
like, good job.
It could have been that. It could have been a sporting event that you attended. It could have been just some moment that you watched a game on TV. So we're talking any sporting event.
Anything.
Right?
Anything. Yep.
Your top 5 personal sporting events that are the most important to you.
The most exciting, the most important, the one that sticks with you, the one that you're like, holy fuck, you almost beat him. This was, it wasn't as hard as I thought. I was like, oh shit, I gotta come up with 5. And then all of a sudden, bloop, there were 5. And I was like, yeah, that's pretty good. So do you want to go first? Because I'm sure we're going to have a couple that are the same. I'm quite sure.
Okay. I don't mind going first.
Yeah. Do it. I think it's good.
Just remind me to ask you about my least favorite sporting moment that didn't make the list. In at number 5, and this will be in a different position on your list. I was already living here, but you know what? It just happened. I lived in New Orleans for 9 years, and I was there for some shitty years, man. They were terrible, but I had to deal with Bud Light, and I was on the field, and I went to every game. You just all of a sudden you become a fan, dude. So I'm a pretty healthy Saints fan when I move here, and it wasn't a couple of years afterwards that the Saints won the Super Bowl, and I was all in on that, man. And Drew Brees is my favorite football player. So
amazing.
And I'm watching it with Jessica, who, if you know anything about Jason and I, she was our intern, and then she worked for us, and then she came here. And she was on the Rod Ryan show, and I've just known her. We've known her forever. So I got to share that moment with her, and she was just crying. She's Saints fan her whole life, and we did a promotion around it. And so the Saints winning the Super Bowl is my number 5. My number 4, and I hate to do the sick flex over here, but it's kind of it's happened 3 or 4 times. But throwing out the first pitch at an Astros game.
That's cool.
I don't get asked to do it when they go to the World Series. It's not the playoffs. It's not the AL, the NLCS. It's none of that. Okay. It's on a Wednesday. It's when they sucked and they lost 100 games. I got to throw out the first pitch on a Wednesday, 7:00 game. And there's at best 9,000 people in a 45,000 seater. There's maybe 9,000 people in the stands at the time that I'm throwing out the first pitch, but I did get to do it a couple of times. I have thrown it in the dirt. I know you're going to ask. I've left with a dirty baseball. Okay. 60 feet, 6 inches, man. It's far. And there's an optical illusion that you're dealing with because the mound is pretty high. The mound is a lot higher than you think. 60 feet, 6 inches is far, but then you overcompensate and you don't know, and you think you need to throw it down. And you don't need to throw it down. You need to haul that fucker and shoot it straight up in the air to get down there.
So wait, what did the because the thing is, I did it for minor league baseball a couple of times. I was thrilled. I didn't give a shit about baseball. And it was cool. It was a great experience. You're walking on the mound, they announce your name. Holy shit, first pitch.
Yeah.
I came home with a scuffed ball myself. I did it like 3 or 4 times. What do you remember what the catcher said to you when you scuffed it? Did he, because you're
so a couple of times that I did it, Brad Lidge, I knew he was our ace relief pitcher, and he caught for me, which was an honor that he came out to catch for me because he was on the show for a number of years. And he's just like, all right, bro, we talked about it because he was so he busted my balls, he busted my balls. I did get it over the plate a couple of times. So I think I've done it 3 times. 2 of them I've dirted. One of them was just a little outside, but it made it into the mitt, which made me feel good.
I did it one. I'm sorry. I was just going to say that I did it with some Boy Scouts. There was like 4 Boy Scouts, or Cub Scouts, the little guys. The time I did it, they all get it across. I go last. Here's the dopey DJ. My family's there to watch. They're all cheering for me.
Did they let you stand on the rubber? Because sometimes they don't let you stand on the rubber, and you've got to do it in front of the mound.
Yeah, I was in front. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. I've done that before too, and it's like.
So I don't know the guy. He catches the ball. He hands me the scuff ball and he goes, "You see that?" He goes, "Those 4 little kids don't get a ball dirty like this, buddy. You get a dirty ball." I'm like, "What the fuck?" I'm like, "Bitch." He was laughing, but yeah.
All of the Astros ones, I got to do it from the rubber, and it was pretty awesome.
That's cool.
So that's my number 4. My number 3, Astros winning the World Series. I'm in the city where a world champion happens. I'm in the city. Jason, we've dreamed about this our whole lives.
It's so cool.
You were in New Orleans when the Saints won, so I think it's going to be at a different position on your list. I'm here, and I'm all in on the Astros, and they win the World Series, and you know that there's an extra connection with the city when you're on the radio, too.
Oh, absolutely.
Because you immediately start getting bonded with that city, and you don't force yourself to like the local teams. It just happens organically. Absolutely. And it happens, and I'll explain it quickly. When the local team loses and you're mad, you ask yourself, why do I care? Do I like this team? Do I like this team? I'm upset that they lost. Same thing happens with baseball. Same thing happens with the basketball team. It just happens. I've been here almost 20 years now.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm still a little split, when the Yankees are in town because I grew up a Yankees fan. But you know what? It's better for me. It's better for me where I live. I want the Astros to win.
Totally.
So
It's
winning the World
okay.
Series is just amazing.
It's okay to like more than one team. People don't seem to grasp that. I don't understand.
Oh yeah.
Concept.
If you've never moved anywhere, you can't grasp that. If you're just born and raised somewhere, you're like, how can you possibly like two teams? More on that in a second.
Right.
So the Astros winning the World Series is number 3. Number 2, 2010, attending the Olympics, dude. Hal and I went to Vancouver, and the only reason why we went is because Miller was our goalie, and so the Buffalo Sabres goalie is the best goalie in America. So Ryan Miller is our goalie. I call up Hal as soon as they made the announcement that Ryan Miller from the Sabres is going to be our goalie. I said, he's the only one I know that's got the cash. Bro, the Olympics are in North America. Why aren't we going? We made such a snap decision, dude. We stayed at a Fleabag hotel, but we watched the United States beat Canada. Now, it didn't ultimately wind up that way for the gold medal game. Canada beats us for the gold. Sidney Crosby's a piece of shit. I don't want to get into it. But I go to the game where U.S. beats Canada, and it was glorious. Yeah. It was absolutely glorious. It was a little strange walking around Vancouver that night. Hal's draped in the American flag, and the Canadians are the friendliest country in the world, except when you beat their hockey team. It was a little hostile out there.
Really?
But going to an Olympic game, seeing that, every time they come back from commercial, they show the torch, whatever the big torch is, we're hanging out with that. We're hanging out. We're in the Olympic Village, not with the athletes, but we're just hanging out at the Olympics. That's the best.
That's
the number one. And I'm curious where this falls for you, but Super Bowl 25, it's the best and the worst. The Bills finally make it to the Super Bowl, and you guys can make fun of me all you want. And Jason, wide right. We made it to the Super Bowl. We almost won. We still had a ticker tape parade for the guys. Even the kicker who went wide right, Scud Norwood. I can't wait for you guys to attack me on social media. Still had the city hall, everything. The guys, they brought him out. And of course, they go back 3 years afterwards, but nothing's going to replace that first time that the Buffalo Bills go to the Super Bowl. It's the best and the worst in the same spot.
Absolutely.
So try to match that.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
I was a little all over the place. I got to see, I was a little kid, man, but in 1980, I didn't get it until I got older. But in 1980, you and I, we got Canadian television channels. And I watched the men I watched the men beat Russia. I watched it live on CNBC or CBC. I watched it live. When I got home from school, the game was on. They didn't air it until later, but there wasn't the internet and everything else. That game aired on prime time on NBC. And, we all know the Miracle on Ice. I got to watch that live, and it was 1980. I was 10 years old. I didn't know what was going on. I thought it was pretty cool. And I remember watching it live. So it's still the greatest sporting moment of all time. Yeah. But I wasn't there. I later visited Lake Placid. I put my hand on the bricks of the arena. It's tiny, dude. It's like that 4-lane pool you swam in. It's small, dude. Where the hockey games were, it's small as my building, Speedo. Bro. Yeah. It's a small building, but I put my hands on the bricks though. That's cool. It's like the greatest sporting event of all time happened right here. Totally. I just put that as an honorable mention.
That's cool as shit. Yeah, that's a good list. It's funny. This is interesting because it's the top 5 sporting events that are your favorite moments or your favorite thing, whether you were there or not. That's what we're doing.
My kid hasn't scored a goal in soccer yet. That'll bump number 5. That'll bump the Saints. Sorry. But when my kid scores her first goal in soccer, okay, London gets the fifth seat there.
Trust me, when your kid scores a goal, It blows all of them out of the water.
I can't
man.
wait, dude. I'm going to lose my mind. I might put it at 4, but she's not replacing the Bills.
It's unbelievable. So I've got my 5, and then I got 1 that was awesome and terrible at the same time. Not the Bills thing either. So
Interesting.
This is cool because we were growing up in the same area. So and this might hurt a little bit for the Houston fans, but number 5 is the Bills versus the Oilers, the comeback.
Oh, you don't want to bring that up, bro?
Or in Houston, you call it the choke. Is that what you guys call it in Houston? The choke game? Because it was 1992. The Houston Oilers were beating the Bills 32 points. It was like the AFC, one of the divisional games or whatever the hell it was. And the Bills came back with our backup quarterback and whooped the ass of the Houston Oilers. And I remember I wasn't even watching the game.
I don't talk about it here, man.
I probably wouldn't if I were you, but I can because I don't give a fuck.
Everybody in Buffalo was at that game, by the way. I mean, everybody, 3 million people were at that game.
I think I was working, so I was listening to it on the radio. I wasn't even watching the game. It was on the radio. And I remember like everyone just losing their shit. When it first came on, we're all like, oh man, we're done. All right. And nobody cared. But then you started hearing people would like, hey dude, the Bills are coming back. Fucking from 32 points? No way. Yeah. And they came back and won. So I remember that being a huge, huge moment.
Way to turn off the entire Houston audience on that.
Oh, I'm sure they'll give me shit, but hey, they lost. What are you going to do? Number 4, and I still am a huge hockey fan. Love the Buffalo Sabres. Watched it all the time. Begged my parents to stay up late when it was on past my bedtime. And it was one of those moments where it was great until it was terrible. It was when they played in the Stanley Cup Finals back in 1999. The Dallas fucking Stars, fuck Dallas, in the crease goal.
Red Hall's in the fucking crease.
Can suck ween every day of the rest of his life. I don't give a fuck. And if he's listening, hey, thanks for listening. But he was in the crease. I don't care what anyone says. And that was the rule. You couldn't have your foot in the crease and score a goal. Back then, those were the rules. He was in the crease. They shouldn't. Now, chances are they would have went on to win the series in Game 7. It was Game 6. I'm crying. I get it. But it was a great moment because our team from Buffalo that never had a chance to do shit was in the Stanley Cup Finals. And every game, every moment, your fucking heart's in your chest and you're losing your shit. It was
amazing.
Rod, I'm on the same page with you. Number 3, Bills Giants Super Bowl in 1991, Super Bowl 25. It was the greatest because I remember the AFC Championship game. I was watching at my parents' house. We're jumping up and down. Holy shit, we're going to the Super Bowl. This is unbelievable. And the game was so great. The Super Bowl, that game was just a great game. Whether you liked either one of those teams, that game was a good game.
It was tight. I mean,
back and forth. It was great. And then
Thurman Thomas had the MVP locked up. It was a done deal. And it's like, oh, we got to give it to O.J. Anderson, who did nothing. You got to give it to the guy that won.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. It was terrible. I just remember that sinking feeling. I still get it today. So that was a beating. Number 2, I was at the game. I'm 22 rows up when the Saints beat the Vikings in 2009. The kick at the end of overtime to send us to the Super Bowl. I was there. The kicker was literally lined up down the line in front of me, like whatever line, 24 yard line, whatever line they kick from or whatever the field goal was. Anyway, that's where he was. The whole game was so fucking loud, dude. I never sat down once. He kicks the ball through the uprights. The crowd, literally, the roof, I swear to Christmas, it lifts off the Superdome. It was so
the Superdome is insanely loud. I know that Seattle constantly gets the meter, and they're the loudest stadium.
That day, dude.
Bill Stadium is loud, but that dome is intense.
It was loud. It's loud all the time. And I've been in that dome a million times for different games. I've never, ever. It sounded just like standing next to a jet airplane. Every time Brett Favre stepped onto the field, the place just blew up. Nice. I ended up 3 rows down after the kick. Everyone just went fucking, people are crying. Grown men who've been watching the Saints from the 70s crying. It was so great. And then number 1, I don't have to tell you, when they won the Super Bowl, I was at the Dungeon. The Dungeon had the crazy, if you've ever been down on Toulouse Street, the Dungeon late at night, go in there. We've talked about it before on the show.
It's not a sports bar.
It's definitely not a sports bar. There's no
but
40.
Everybody had to be showing it though. I mean, right? I mean, every TV in New Orleans, in the French Quarter, every TV had to have the Super Bowl on.
So I'm on Toulouse Street, which is right around the corner from Bourbon Street, down the French Quarter. And they had like an annex bar next door called the Front of the Dungeon. It was open during the day. It had TVs. I was trying to get into every bar. Couldn't do it. I walk in there, boom, spotted the bar, called some friends. So we sat at this fucking dark, scary bar watching the Saints game. And I remember like middle of the third quarter, I walked out just to see what was going on the street on Bourbon Street. Dude, there wasn't one human being. There wasn't a human being on Bourbon Street at all because everyone was inside watching the game. The second that final tick went off the clock and we won, I've never seen it go from 0 to 1 billion so fast in my life, dude.
Being in the city of a world champion, you and I have been waiting a long, long time for that because it never happened in our hometown.
No.
And that's kind of how I explained it when the Astros won the World Series. I wasn't at the game. I'm here, but it's just, you're losing your mind. You're losing your mind.
And people were like, well, didn't you want to go to Florida to watch the game? Because I think it was in Miami that year when the Saints won in 2009. I said, fuck no. I want to be in the city because this city's going to be on fire. And you know what? When I say on fire, when you watch all these other championships around the country go on, dumpster fires, cars tipped over, New Orleans don't play that game, man.
You can't start a fire in the French Quarter. The whole place,
the whole place is a
tinderbox.
But I mean, it was all just people dancing. Traffic was shut down. People were on the hoods of their cars dancing, high fives, hugs. It was unbelievable. The honorable mention, Rod, was actually something that I had nothing to do with. It was through my wife where she works. She got an opportunity for us. She calls me up one day. She goes, hey, do you want to go to the Saints game in Houston? It's weird how this works, right? And I go, well, sure. I'll go see Rod. We'll hang out. She's like, no. There's not going to be time for that. I go, what do you mean there's not going to be time? I'm going to go see my BFF at his house in Houston. I'm going to be in Houston. Why would I not go see my friend? We're not going to have time. I go, why? She goes, because we're flying on the Saints jet, the team plane.
That's badass.
With the team and the coaches. We're getting, they don't fly the regular shit. You go to the airport and you walk around the back and you're on the tarmac.
Yeah.
She's like, you got to wear a suit. And we're going to be, and you don't fucking look at anybody. You don't talk to anybody. So I flew on the Saints fucking airplane. The coaches are sitting around me. Drew
that didn't
Brees
make your top 5. Well, I guess the game itself is the experience.
It's the experience. And then I flew, and they put you in a nice hotel. We had dinner. I had dinner with like the VP operations or whatever the fuck it was, one of the suits and stuff. And it was cool. You got to ask a lot of great sports questions from that side of the table. You got to learn a lot. And then we went to the game, and the fucking game was terrible because Houston kicked our ass. I think, what's his name? J.J. Watt must have sacked Drew Brees that day like 19 times or something. It was the game was
17.5.
fucking awful. And then we got back on the plane, and it was just, you might as well been in the library, man. It was so
Are the dudes bummed out because they just got their ass handed to them, or it's just another day in the office?
Dude, it was weird. I don't know if it's like that because I don't have this experience outside of it, but it's a business. They're all on there and they got their suit, their briefcases, and they're talking. And there's no like, we're gonna kick ass today, boys. That never happened. No. None of that shit happens. It's a business. But the experience of doing it was so badass. It was so neat to go through that. But it was just an odd experience because it was just like, oh, this is just them going to work. It's like going to work with your dad. It's not that exciting. It wasn't like I could go over and go, hey man, can I get an autograph? Because they strictly told you, don't you fucking talk to anybody.
But that's amazing that that's not even in your top 5. And I'm looking back because I know one for sure that you and I went to a Super Bowl together. We
were so hungover, dude.
But that's just like a bucket list for so many people. Yeah, and it's not in my top 5, and I've been lucky enough. I've been lucky and tortured enough that, I've been to a couple of Super Bowls now. I've been to 4 Super Bowls, and the Patriots were in all of them. And it wasn't even Tom Brady. It was fucking Drew Bledsoe when you and I went.
Right.
But it was the Super Bowl that we went to. It's the only one that Brett Favre won. So Brett Favre wins that Super Bowl because Green Bay took on the Patriots. And, that's a pretty big Super Bowl. It's the one that Brett Favre,
but
that he gets the ring.
The problem, Rod, is we had been out for 3 days straight. We didn't even go home. Yeah. We sat there and shit our pants the whole fucking game. Everyone around us was mad. They all knew it was us. It stunk so bad around us because we smelled like booze and failure. And we're at a Super Bowl. And I couldn't even enjoy it. I was so hungover. I was just like, when's this fucking game over?
We were dying.
When's this game over? We're at the Super Bowl that we begged for the tickets. And it was part of our deal. And it just, it should be on our top, but and we're assholes. we're just assholes for doing what we did to that game because we just fucking didn't appreciate it, man. We didn't appreciate it at all. It's terrible.
Enjoyed this top 5 list more than I thought I would.
Yeah, it was cool. Sports.
Kind of threw it out there and like, nobody's coming to us for sports. So if we're going to spend some time on it, there better be some sort of a spin that makes sense. And like how we do all of these top 5s, they're, it's what you think, it's not the greatest classic rock songs of all time. It's your favorite ones. It's my favorite, whatever the list is. So that's how we get away with it. For me, not putting the U.S. men's hockey game in 1980 on my list, I think it's a big deal. It's a great story to tell people that I watched it live, and I knew it was cool, but I didn't know how cool it was. I'm 10 years old. I didn't know what I was really seeing. And it was going back and thinking that I saw that before it was on TV, that everybody else in the country watched it. It's a neat moment, but it was a little kind of lost on a 10-year-old, but it's a fun story to tell.
Another one. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, because I wanted to talk about like a sports mishap, even more so than the wide right kick of Scott Norwood.
In the crease, that's bad.
Just one little funny sports story, and I'll get in and out. It's a couple of years ago, the Super Bowl was here in Houston. And when the Super Bowl's in town, there's all kinds of parties and events and flag football games. And, years ago it was MTV Rock and Jock and this, and there's a lot of stuff, right? So you're in radio, you kind of get to do some of that stuff. You might even have to kind of work some of that stuff. And I'm emceeing a pro flag football game. And team captain from Katy, Texas, which is kind of like Metairie in New Orleans. Katy, Texas. Andy Dalton, hometown hero. He comes in and he's captaining one side, and Doug Flutie is captaining the other football team. Who Doug Flutie? Cool. It's a toss-up how I'm feeling that day, but I think Doug Flutie's my favorite football player of all time, and Drew Brees is right there, and those guys are somewhat connected. So I am seeing this game. And I'm got some locker room access and stuff. And I see I see Doug Flutie. So I am going to blow Doug Flutie's mind. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Okay. I wasn't even expecting to use a prop today.
And Doug Flutie played for the Bills for quite a few years too. And he was a rock star up in Buffalo, man. He was great. And everybody loved the guy because he was cool and he was short. But the fact that he worked his ass off every game, that work ethic, he was a fun guy to watch.
I go up to Doug Flutie and I am going to rock his world. I'm like, bro, I'm a big fan. You're my favorite football player. Would you sign this for me? Now, I'm showing our audience on YouTube a box of Flutie Flakes.
That's so great.
If you don't know, General Mills is located in Buffalo, and football players, they don't get these big contracts, but they get fucking breakfast cereal deals, and they get their box on a local box of cereal.
It's so great.
It started with Flutie Flakes, and even when Terrell Owens was there, he had his TOs, and I've got all the boxes. I've got them all. Kelly's. Great. So I'm going to blow his mind. This is an original. This isn't because they came out with some years later. I'm going to blow his mind. Holy shit. I'm waiting for Doug Flutie to fucking lose his mind. He's like, give me the marker. Bah, 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 bah. Nothing. He is not fazed by this. So I got to follow up. Bro, do you get these often? He goes, all the time.
Oh, shit.
I sign boxes of Flutie Flakes all the time.
Ooh, that's kind of funny, though.
I'm thinking that I got something amazing. I'm looking for a date on here.
Flutie Flakes. But you know what? See, that's one of those things that
the offer expires in 2000 on the back, whatever the coupon is on the back.
Oh, shit. So that's got to be like 98, 99?
So 98, 99. And I'm just thinking I'm going to blow this guy's mind. And he just couldn't have been less interested in signing a box of fucking Flutie Flakes. Thanks, Doug. He wasn't a dick. It didn't ruin for me. It just, I in my mind, I had this built up that like we're going to become BFFs and we're going to be pals, and he's going to give me his number and he's going to fly me out and I'm going to just chill with Doug Flutie. We're going to become best friends because I got a box of Flutie Flakes that he didn't even know that anybody would still possibly have. No, losers all over the place have boxes of.
No. Worse yet, and this is why losers who are
up in my mind.
Losers who are emceeing the fucking game he's about to play in or goof around in.
Yeah.
Carrying around a stupid cereal box all day and asking you to sign it.
Mm-hmm.
I think he saw it coming. You know what? Another incident like that happened to us. This is great. When we were in 97, we're in New Orleans. Like you said, there's always parties around the city before the game. You know, all the old football players come in, and being Buffalo Bills fans.
Oh God, I know where you're going with this.
We're huge Buffalo Bills fans. And back in the day when we're talking about this early 90s Buffalo Bills football team, Bruce Smith was this amazing defensive player. He's
one of the all-time greats. You don't have
all-time greats.
If you don't know who Bruce Smith is, you must hate football. He's one of the all-time great defensive pass rushers ever.
Yeah, so we're at this party and
he's getting an award.
He's getting an award, and there's like Tony Dorsett, and the's all these different legends walking around, and we're all like, "Oh my God, we're just fucking." Now we've been drunk for 2 days, so that might not have helped. Bruce Smith is 6'7" or whatever the fuck he is, and he's huge. He's standing there talking to some girls or whomever, and then me and you are like, "Holy fuck, Bruce Smith, we got to go say hi. Hey, we're from Buffalo." And blah, blah, blah.
He's going to love us.
He's going to love us. It's going to be great, dude. He's going to be like, "Yeah, guys, come on back to the hotel. We'll party."
Yo, Otis, my man.
Yeah, we're all like, super. This is going to be great. We're going to fucking a couple of Buffalo boys down in New Orleans with Bruce Smith. We're going to party with him all night. We run up there, and I'm pretty sure we fucking fucked it up. "Hey, man, we're from Buffalo, too. Bruce, we love you, man. We saw you at the Super Bowl." And we just spit out all these words really fast. He goes, "All right, cool."
Anything for me to sign? Can I get this over with, please? What do you have?
We have nothing to sign. We didn't have anything with us to sign. We just ran into him. And it was like one of those, fuck. We just looked like assholes because it happens all the time. And he wasn't mean. He wasn't not cool. It just was, okay, boys, move along.
We were thinking that we're in New Orleans, and here comes a couple of douchebags from Buffalo, and he's going to connect and say, "You know what? You're right. You guys are from Buffalo. You know me. Listen, I'm going to share my hookers with you guys.
Yeah.
Come on back here. Let's go, man. You know, I got LT over here and we're ready to do some lines and we got hookers. Why don't you Buffalo guys come back here with us and just get right in with everyone?" And I'll tell everybody you're cool because you're from Buffalo, and I'll let you come back here and we'll share everything. Okay.
Fucking
kind of played that whole scenario. I mean, I'm doing coke off of a hooker's butt.
No.
That's not what happened.
You're Jack Nicholson in The Departed when he takes that fistful of blow and throws it at that girl's ass and says, "Get in there." That's you and me, dude. That's what we're going to be doing. No, you know what? Okay, I'll go one more. Jim Kelly, the quarterback there in those years. Huge fan, love the guy, badass. He was in New Orleans, and there was some sort of Super Bowl event years later around something.
House of Blues.
He's there.
It's Howie Long's party.
Howie
Long rents out the whole House of Blues.
Correct. So me and the wife are there, and we're partying, and I'm like, "Holy shit, that's Jim Kelly sitting over there." And I'm like, "Holy crap." And I'm telling about like all the Super Bowls and how he's badass and all this shit. And I'm a huge fan. So we go to leave the party, and the wife's been drinking a bit. So have I. We come down the stairs, and Jim Kelly is standing there talking to somebody else, smoking a cigar, being fucking cool Jim Kelly. And I'm like, "Holy shit, he's standing right there. And we got to walk by him to leave. This is my time. And I'm going to do the whole, I'm from Buffalo, bro. We're going to be back smoking cigars. It's going to be great." I'm about to go up to him and say something. My wife runs over. And you know where this is going.
Oh, boy.
She goes, "Oh, my God, Joe Kelly. My fucking husband loves you. Joe Kelly. I can't believe I'm meeting Joe Kelly." She's calling him fucking Joe. His name's Jim.
I'm done.
Dude, I swear to God, if I could have crawled under a brick, I would have. And I walk over and I go, "Sorry, Jim. I'm a big fan. It's nice to meet you." And he was cool about it. My wife's like, "Oh my," and then we walk away. She's like, "I can't believe you just met Joe Kelly. How cool is that?" I'm like, "His name's
Honey,
Jim.
I'll deal with you later."
Fucking, his name is Jim. Joe Kelly. I'm like, holy, I mean, she meant well, God love her, but that was a rough moment too. So anyway, sports. That's why we don't talk sports on this podcast.
All right, one more and then I'm going to bed. So Super Bowl, Houston. And my broadcasting idol is Chris Berman. Okay. I rip off Chris Berman.
Rumbling, stumbling.
Podcast one. Chris Berman is everything for me. And you know, growing up, he loved the Bills, so he always had a soft spot for the Bills. No one circles the wagons. So I never met him. And that's a big deal for me. And it doesn't matter how long you're in this industry. You do get great opportunities, and you get to meet Doug Flutie, and at least have those interactions and have those horrible stories to share.
And you brought your cereal box with you.
Correct.
Fucking guys.
So
Jesus.
I've been in this situation before. It doesn't happen a lot. I'm not this guy that once people see me, there's a bunch of paparazzi. That's not how it works. But I get how it works. I've been at a football game before, and it's like, you're walking to your seat and you got your kid and they're like, hey man, let's take a picture. Well, then two other people are going to kind of see that. And they're like, they don't even know who you are, but they're going to want a picture.
Right.
So there's an effect. So when you're somebody that's really famous, you got to be careful where you take a picture, because you do one. Now, how are you going to tell all these other people no?
Right.
I'm coming out of a UFC fight Super Bowl Sunday. It's a great time to be in Houston, right? And I'm walking with my chick, and Chris Berman is by himself, walking fast. Now, I know the fast walk. The fast walk means you don't want to be bothered. The fast walk is you're trying to look like you really need to be somewhere, and you don't have time for a person like me.
Right, especially you.
I got a few beers in me. I'm like, fuck it, that's Boomer. I'm going in. Chris Berman's walking like this. And I wish you're watching the podcast. Chris Berman's walking like he really needs to be somewhere. He's vulnerable. He's out with all of us. Nobody's. Chris Berman is walking. Nobody circles the wagons. I turn from my chick and I'm going for it. So I start walking, and I'm walking fast with Chris Berman. I'm like, Chris, please. I know. Can I just get a picture? Not now. He kept walking. in his Burmanese. Yeah. Okay. In his Chris Berman voice with a karate chop. Not now.
Hey, he handles his biz though. Hey, shit.
I'm not mad. No. I'm not upset. He stops and takes a picture. Oh shit, there's Chris Berman, and then a mob scene. And he's the kind of guy that I think would get mobbed.
Yeah.
That's that's it. That's the end of my story.
That's how it goes, man.
But I'm not mad though. I'm just.
Well, you got a great story out of it though.
I understand why he did what he did, and that was me. I mean, I didn't shake his hand. I didn't meet him. We didn't exchange any pleasantries. He just cut me off, karate chopped me in the air, and that was it. But I'm like, hey, nobody wants to hear my story of me taking a picture with Chris Berman, but everybody wants to hear my story about Chris Berman blowing me off. But I always tell it to make sure that I say, listen, I'm not mad. No. Don't walk away from this story thinking he's a dick. Doug Flutie's not a dick.
No.
Bruce Smith wasn't a dick to us.
Joe Kelly's not a dick. No.
Joe Kelly, you build it up, and I don't know. I just feel like I'm going to be like, I saw Chris Berman outside the Toyota Center. I might be like watching the game with him tomorrow. He might be so enthralled with how charming I am. He's going to say, come on up, hang out, man. Bring your wife. Sure. Come on.
Yeah. Hang out. We're going to call up Bruce Smith and we'll get some blow.
All those things are playing in my head as I'm like mustering up the courage to go take a pic with him. And
that never happens, by the way. That never fucking happens unless you're like Kramer from Seinfeld or some shit like that. You're one of those types of guys. So yeah. Rod, we gotta finish this shit because we could sit here and talk these stupid sports stories all day. I've got more, but I'm like, you know what? Let's table those and let's move on because we got more shit to cover, man.
Welcome to Sports Pants here. Sports Pants.
Sports Pants. That should be the derivative of this. We can talk sports, bro. Nah, I can't talk sports.
Like Barstool Sports, man. How they got all the different things. They got everything. So Sports Pants. You know what? Maybe there's some young podcaster out there that is looking for some sort of a platform. Boom. You want to. Sports Pants.
But we control we control all the money. We control all of it. We get a cut. We do, there's a business side here, right? We don't want to get into that shit.
Well, the main hub isn't making any money. So Play Pants is making zero. I imagine Sports Pants would probably be in that same bracket.
Then cool. We get a cut of it.
Know that going in, if anybody's going to say, dude, I want to be your sports guy. Okay.
No, you don't.
Just know. Episode 18 or 19 and not a nickel.
Well, we know how interns work too. So you don't want to be that either. So Rod, we got a good one from the Ginty parents household. Any final thoughts today?
Well, number one, just personally, I'm glad that you're with the folks. I'm glad your parents are doing well. So it was a good. There's a little bit of message sometimes that you might learn a little something listening to this dumb thing.
I doubt it.
Go and get around your parents and get in their faces and spend time with them. Having the kids was a game changer for me. I didn't just FaceTime my mom, I would call her, and check in and everything. Now with the FaceTime and the kid, it's kind of next level stuff. So I'm glad you're over there. And it's probably been a message before on this show, but I do think that you got me thinking a little bit of this Rolling Stones. I've seen them. I've seen them twice. And you got me thinking that this has got to be it for these guys. Did you say Mick was 79?
Mick just turned 78. Charlie Watts is like 81. Keith is 170. I mean, these guys, and I'm not just saying the Stones. I'm not picking on that. I'm just saying, and this is kind of my final thoughts. We might as well wrap this together.
But it is go see the bands, man. And if you've never seen the Stones, they're right over in New Orleans. And my sister's pissed because they canceled the Buffalo show for whatever they're doing down here, wherever they're they changed to come down south. Right. Her show's been canceled, not rescheduled, canceled. She's pissed.
Yeah. Well, she have to come down to New Orleans, see how this works. But that's kind of where I'm at with my final thoughts too, is like, hey, being here with my parents, go talk to your parents a little more often, do the thing. And then, then you compound that with Dusty Hill from ZZ Top passing away. I'm like, geez. And we've said this before. If you get a chance, especially with the older bands, but if it's a band you like, man, find a way to go and do it, man. Scrape together the cash. I know it ain't easy. You got babysitters and you got all the bullshit. You got work, man. If it's somebody you like and they're in your town, you find a way. You find a way because you don't know, man. You don't know, especially with these older acts. Because then what's going to happen if you don't go? You're going to get stuck going seeing that stupid hologram thing. You're not going to be satisfied.
Yeah, and then you go to the hologram. You try to get an autograph, and the hologram goes, "Not now,
not now." Joe Kelly, yeah, yeah. So mine's the same message. That was kind of my last thoughts as well. Was like, man, do the things, get out, whatever it is, go fucking do it, man. Go do it if you can. Find a way. If it means something to you, go and freaking do it. And that's enough of that sitting around. I'm gonna grow a long beard now.
We're losing rock stars, man.
Yeah. Well, and again, who's gonna step up? I don't see a lot of these guys selling stadiums when they're 60, 75 years old down the road. Where are they going? Who's gonna step up? That's a whole other topic for another day. Who could fill these shoes once the Fleetwood Macs and the Eagles and the Aerosmiths and ZZ Top? Okay, I don't know where that's gonna go. Probably not too far after this.
So something I believe I heard through the grapevine that he was sick. They knew that he was sick, and Billy Gibbons even put something out there already, and he's got the blessing. If they want to plug somebody in, they can.
They got
not they're saying that they will, but I would get the feeling that these guys have been playing together for 50 years, and there's only 3 of them, and they've never interchanged one member.
Right.
I can't imagine why you would want to go on, but what I heard today, and everything's still raw,
so fair,
that he wants to keep going, guys. I know that I got limited time here. He's telling them to keep going. Do they make that decision? Or if there's ever anything that seems like a Led Zeppelin moment to me, it's losing 1/3 of ZZ Top, that you don't go on. And Billy Gibbons, he just put out a solo album, and maybe the drummer, the guy without the beard that's named Beard, maybe he doesn't want to play anymore, but don't be surprised they plug somebody in and they do something.
The last show they did, it was only like a week and a half ago, the bass tech, his bass guitar tech, who's been with him for 20 years, actually got up and played in his position the other night.
Okay.
So he could easily step in and continue the tour if they wanted to, you know, because you got contracts and signs and all the bullshit that goes with it. There's a lot of money tied up. So maybe they might take some time, then go finish the tour. I don't know. But the point here is, man, go and fucking do it. See it. Because, you know, Van Halen, that's it. We're done. It's over. Not going to get the chance again. You know, these bands are going to start falling apart now, and it sucks. So, I mean, I know the Stones is a little bit on the expensive side, but if you never saw them, you know, I won't be going there that day. I saw them. I don't want to change that memory because it was great.
Oh, geez, I'm leaving this podcast thinking that you're going. You're not going to that show.
I'm not spending that kind of money that day. And I saw him at the Dome a couple of years ago, and I loved it. You know, it was great. What I'm going to do is, because it's an out, and don't repeat this, anybody. This is just my thing. I want to do is, I got a paddleboard. If it's a nice day, I'm going to paddleboard my ass down Bayou St. John. You can hear the music coming off of the outdoor stadium. So I'll just be chilling out there on my paddleboard, listening to the show. Okay. Yeah, I know. Don't do that. It's not cool. Pay your artists and all that shit. I get it. But either way, yeah, do the things, man. Get out there and see your peeps, you know,
all right,
if
man.
you can.
Guys, thanks so much for checking this out. We did mention a few times that this was all on YouTube. So we've got a YouTube channel. So if you want to watch, and if you want to see my box of Flutie Flakes that I did not expect to bring out today, but I brought those out. So yeah, the YouTube channel, just everything is at Play Pants Pod. And then I'm going to go and buy at Sports Pants Pod, if that's not already taken. Bro. And then boom, if you wouldn't mind, because you don't seem that excited about it. I don't know how, you know, I hate to jump over your brother, but if you don't mind putting a little piece of masking tape with ROD, and if you just put it, I don't want your parents to see it because that's a little wrong. But if you don't mind putting that underneath
good idea.
The Pelican lamp, if I can just get a piece of masking tape that says ROD, I would like dibs on that lamp.
Yeah, no. No, I don't know what it's going to happen to that Pelican lamp. Here's the thing, you know, and this is things that you have to have these conversations down the road when folks get older, is like, you know, do I want the Pelican lamp down the road? If something happens, am I going to be like bringing it home, trying to convince my wife this would be cool in her living room? You know what I mean?
Then you say, do I take it now and then give it to Hank? And then Hank looks at you sideways when you try to pass it off to him when he goes off to college.
Why do I want a bird lamp? What do I need? What the fuck is a bird lamp for? Yeah, these are the things you do.
Chicks in the dorm will love it.
You know what, actually, and then but then it would be kind of cool and funny and retro and neat. So who knows? I don't know.
Maybe he'll have it ironically. All right, that's enough.
That's enough shit. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and tell your friends. Thank you.
Subscribe, man. Smash the subscribe button.
Hit that fucker.
Let's go. It's time. Put on play pants.
Find us wherever you listen to podcasts. See us on our YouTube channel and follow our social media pages at Play Pants Pod.